Hey, what's good YouTube? My name's Gray and this is Consoletronix, a YouTube channel dedicated to the task of keeping gaming's rich history alive. And in today's installment I will be looking at a sword and sandals themed trilogy of action titles from the heyday of scrolling beat-em-ups. Known as Rastan in some regions, but more commonly referred to by its original Japanese name. It's Rastan. Released to arcades in 1987 by once industry super heavyweights Taito, back when muscle-bound barbarians were still the pinnacle of pop culture, thanks largely to the unexpected success of Conan the Barbarian earlier in the decade, that would make a star out of its lead Arnold Schwarzenegger, not to mention He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, enthralling a generation of kids with pocket money to spare. And very quickly, Rastan Saga would garner a cult reputation on the coin-op scene. But its release on most prominent 8-bit home systems of the day, from Commodore 64, Spectrum, Amstrad, MSX, and the console I had it on, the Sega Master System, which I still rank as the best port by the way, is what's truly catapulted this high fantasy hack and slash platformer to legendary status. Although somewhat surprisingly, a NES version was never on the cards. Sadly, the rock-hard difficulty and jump button which our barbarian friend takes as a suggestion rather than a command means the first title in the Rastan franchise has become more of a curio than a classic. Rastan Saga II, released only a year later in 1988, is a very different beast to the original. While the first game had decent graphics, music and gameplay to keep gamers pumping their pocket money into it, something went hideously wrong with the sequel. But why? Rastan II was released at a time when Taito were arguably at the height of their powers and were riding high off the success of other titles released the same year like Chase HQ, Truxton, New Zealand Story and another sequel to a high profile original in Operation Wolf 2, Operation Thunderbolt, all of which would quickly become firm fan favourites. Ports, perhaps thankfully, wouldn't be as plentiful this time around, with versions being released only for PC Engine and Sega Mega Drive. But while Taito may have uncharacteristically fumbled, they would still have the opportunity to restore the reputation of one of their most beloved games. Truth be told, the news of a new Rastan title, which now employed the 2-monitor gimmick that Taito pulled off previously with Ninja Warriors, hence the aspect ratio, and the simple fact that in any trilogy it's nearly always the last which disappoints the most, meant that it would be quite a few years before I ever bothered to give this one a go, and even then it wasn't out of any love for the series. Believe me, all the goodwill I had for it left me, along with a substantial sum, after I made the mistake of buying an import copy of Rastan II for my PC Engine from a retro shop in the West End. But I must say, I was pleasantly surprised by the third and final Rastan adventure. The difference between this and part 2 is like night and day. Sadly, this time around, there would be no home conversions, even though there were systems out there like the Mega CD and 32X that were starved of quality software. Overall, while the Rastan series as a whole would struggle to crack anyone's top 10 Taito games, the franchise is still fondly remembered, particularly by those who grew up with the Master System or Spectrums or Game Gear versions. But even now, they retain all the atmosphere, fun and challenge they always did. So this has been my look at the Rastan Saga series. I've recently been playing a lot of games from Taito's back catalogue, and although the company, like many other Japanese studios of the time, would struggle after the fall of the arcade scene, eventually being swallowed up by Square Enix, the legacy they left behind rivals any contemporary you could name, like Capcom, Konami, Data East, or even Sega. From Space Invaders to Chase HQ, from Bubble Bobble to Elevator Action, Taito's influence within gaming then to this very day cannot be ignored. So my name's Gray, you've been watching Consoletronix. I've been pretty busy recently, but hopefully you'll start seeing more videos more often from me very soon. So thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.